Hi, VencoreWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Friday, February 19th. Well, it looks like the weekend will bring a touch of spring in the air in the Mid-Atlantic region. Saturday's temperature should be quite a bit milder than today. High temperatures tomorrow afternoon should approach or perhaps even surpass the 60-degree mark in the D.C. metro region, way up in the 50s across Philadelphia and its suburbs, into the mid-50s in New York City. It does get a little bit cooler on Sunday compared to Saturday. Still pretty mild for this time of the year. Colder air does return by the middle of next week, and it looks like we'll have to deal with a winter storm, perhaps even two separate storm systems in the middle part of next week, anytime from Tuesday into Thursday. It looks like the I-95 corridor will be on the rain snow line. Odds favor some kind of a mixed bag of precipitation in the I-95 corridor, and that also includes the pretty good possibility of some accumulating snow. Well, the other day when we did the video, we talked about whether or not there would be high latitude blocking for this upcoming storm threat in the middle of next week. Let's get some indication of that by first taking a look at the Arctic Oscillation Index. What we see here is in black is the current value right here. It's positive, and this is the past value of the Arctic Oscillation Index, which dropped to way into negative territory back in the middle part of January. When the Arctic Oscillation is in a negative phase, that tends to support the idea that there is high latitude blocking, and all the reds here show forecasts over the next couple of weeks. And notice for the most part it tends to favor a drop in the AO into negative territory. So there is a little bit more of a likelihood of high latitude blocking by the middle of next week, and certainly beyond that period. In fact, we posted a blog yesterday about the potential for a relatively cold period from late February into as late as middle part of March, partly as a result of some high latitude blocking setting up. So it looks like that is indeed a possibility by the middle part of next week, when we have to start dealing with these potential one or two winter storms in the Tuesday to Thursday time frame, and beyond that into March. It looks like there could be some high latitude blocking. That in turn allows for some sustained cold air in the Mid-Atlantic region. Now, by no means do we expect it to be below normal for that entire period from late February into the middle part of March. But when we look back on that period, it is liable to be colder than normal in much of the eastern part of the U.S. Well, let's now kind of focus in on the winter storm threat for the middle part of next week. This is, first of all, a quick look at the 500 millibar height anomaly pattern by Tuesday evening of next week. This is from last night's 0Z GFS ensemble run. We have an impressive trough of low pressure here setting up in the middle part of the nation. Notice all these oranges up across Greenland, northern part of Canada. This is indicative of a high latitude blocking when high pressure is setting up across those areas, northern Canada and Greenland, and that is what we're seeing with that Arctic Oscillation Index tending to drop into negative territory by the middle part of next week. Notice also a strong ridge here along the west coast of the U.S. and the west coast of Canada. That favors colder air spilling into the northern U.S. from northern Canada, and the high latitude blocking suggests some of the cold air that does move into the northeastern part of the nation could be sustained for a while, and that raises the possibility of some accumulating snowfall during this stormy period of Tuesday to Thursday. Right now, it's a possibility of it beginning as a mixed bag and then changing over to accumulating snow by Wednesday or so, but again, many questions still remain. There's still several days to go. Just to take a look 24 hours later, this is the forecast map, again at 500 millibar height anomalies. This is for Wednesday evening. All these maps, by the way, from the Tropical Tidbit site. Still oranges showing up here, higher pressure, perhaps some high latitude blocking across Greenland and northern Canada, the ridge in the western part of North America, and a deep impressive trough here of low pressure indicated by the blues into the eastern part of the nation. Well, let's now take a look at the upcoming winter storm threat by the middle part of next week. But before we get to that, I just want to point out there's a sneaky little low pressure area that could throw some showers excuse me, into parts of the Mid-Atlantic region later Sunday night. Even a possibility that in places across northern Pennsylvania, let's say the upper half of Pennsylvania, it's cold enough for snow. This is the GFS model run from last night, 0Z, and it's the forecast map for Sunday evening. And it has this kind of a sneaky little low pressure area pretty far to the south, cutting across Virginia. If we jump ahead a little bit in time here, 6-hour increments, there it goes off the coast. The NAM model, however, actually has that low a little bit farther north, a little bit more into the cold air across Pennsylvania late Sunday night. Just something to be aware of, the possibility of a sneaky little system late Sunday night. Could even produce some snow in the upstate region of Pennsylvania. We'll monitor that over the next couple of days. Well, let's now jump ahead into the middle part of next week and see how the operational GFS is handling this winter storm situation. This again is the forecast map for Monday morning. Let's now jump ahead. Here is Tuesday morning. Low pressure starting to set up in the southeastern part of the country. Notice here high pressure, cold high, but it's rather a look of it departing here at this time. Some cold air in place, so upon the arrival of the precipitation, according to last night's GFS model run, there could certainly be some snow in the I-95 corridor and points to the north and west. Let's now just kind of walk through this in 6-hour increments. By this time, generally predicting the form of rain in the DC metro region, kind of a mixed bag across east central PA. Another 6 hours later, mainly in the form of rain. Let's keep walking through this now. This is by late Tuesday night. Low pressure off the Mid-Atlantic coastline, but a secondary over West Virginia. And again, this is being handled differently by a lot of these computer models. We'll take a look in a moment at quite a different solution for this Tuesday to Thursday time period. And here is by Wednesday morning, main low now by this time off the Mid-Atlantic coastline, really off of Long Island here. Colder air starting to wrap back around, so some mixed bag of precipitation across southeastern Pennsylvania. And at this stage, there's a chance it changes back to snow in parts of the Mid-Atlantic region. This is now Wednesday afternoon. Let's finally jump ahead. This is the forecast map for Wednesday evening. And pretty much this is the tail end of this event according to the operational GFS model. Again, this is the Wednesday evening forecast map. Cold air pouring into the Mid-Atlantic and all the way down into the southeastern part of the nation. Now, just to emphasize the point that there's certainly some differences that remain amongst the computer forecast models and some questions that still remain. Let's take a look here at the what's called the GFS parallel run. This is a kind of a background GFS model that is being updated and will become the operational model not too distant future, I think sometime during the spring. Again, this is the GFS parallel run, and this is the forecast map for Tuesday morning. Not too different from what we just saw on the current operational GFS. High pressure over northern New England, perhaps departing at this time. Cold air in place, though, with a wave of low pressure and some precipitation moving into the Mid-Atlantic region at this time. Let's now jump ahead 24 hours, again using last night's 0Z GFS parallel run. And here we go. This is the forecast map for Wednesday morning. Again, not too terribly different at this stage compared to the operational GFS model, with a low pressure off of the Long Island area, not too different from the operational GFS. Cold air kind of wrapping back around, perhaps changing any precipitation that's mixed back to snow in the I-95 corridor. But notice down here, a second wave of low pressure according to the parallel run of the GFS model. This is, again, a Wednesday morning forecast map. Let's now jump ahead another 24 hours. And here we go. big differences between the GFS parallel and the current operational GFS. This is the forecast map for next Thursday morning. A second wave of low pressure moves up along the coastline and eventually backs some precipitation right towards the I-95 corridor. So still some big questions remain. Will just one storm evolve out of this pattern in the Tuesday to Thursday time frame off the Mid-Atlantic coastline, or could there be two separate systems, one more or less a Tuesday into Wednesday, and then a second follow-up system Wednesday night and Thursday? Still some questions that remain to be answered. Certainly looks like the threat period is Tuesday into Thursday, potentially a mixed bag in the I-95 corridor, and potentially some accumulating snow along the way. Again, a mild weekend setting up, especially on Saturday, with a touch of spring. Temperatures could hit the 60-degree mark in some parts of the I-95 corridor by Saturday afternoon. That's it for now. For VencoreWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.